The film Her, directed by Spike Jonze, is a captivating exploration of love, loneliness, and technology. In a futuristic Los Angeles, the film follows Theodore, played by Joaquin Phoenix, a writer who finds love in an unlikely place, an operating system named Samantha. As Theodore develops a deep and complex relationship with Samantha, the film delves into the complexities of human connection in the digital age and ultimately challenges our notions of intimacy and identity. With beautiful performances and visionary storytelling, Her invites viewers to ponder the nature of love and the relationship between humans and technology. I first watched the movie Her by Spike Jonze 4 years ago, and I was tasked to write a one-page essay about 2 years ago to sell the movie as if I were the director. And today I'll be explaining the substance behind this film, what it exactly means beyond falling in love with a computer. Grievance and acceptance. Theodore is a poet who writes love letters for couples who can't do it themselves ultimately, so he finds passion in his work, expressing his words and ultimately his heart onto letters and papers written for people who have something that he craves to desire. Theodore ultimately was in the process of divorcing Catherine, which was his ex-wife at the time, who he ultimately thought would be his soulmate. Towards the end of the film, Theodore develops the strength to let somebody go, and this means loving somebody even if it means that it's better that they're no longer in your life, just because it wasn't meant to be. The ending of the film, Theodore walks up to the rooftop and he writes the Dear Catherine letter, which is ultimately his final grounds of closure, apologizing for what he's done and just acknowledging that it just wasn't meant to be in general. And what this meant to Theodore was just always loving somebody and being grateful for what somebody gave to you and what you gave to them. A general lesson with acceptance is that no matter what happens after a breakup, whether that's a divorce or a friendship breakup, is that there's more to live for than your life with that person. A lot of people might question, how will you continue on after this detrimental breakup or even just grief in general? And the answer to that is how exactly your life was before that happened. One of my favorite quotes from the movie was, "The past is just a story we tell ourselves." And going through the motions of life, because that's what you're supposed to do. And it entails the highs and the ultimate lows, whether that's grief, loss, acceptance, love, and adventure. And to reach these periods of love, you have to experience grief and loss. You can't generally just stray away from them because it's a learning experience. Theodore wouldn't have never been able to love again if he didn't give that closure to his ex-wife. And a life without these emotions is generally empty and just boring. And I'll be covering our love, purpose, and fate. So, the red color, we see it plentiful in the film throughout Theodore's color choices in his clothing. Even in the opening shot, he's wearing a red button-up, and he likes to wear these warm colors that are a means of expressing himself. And this goes to say that the theme of this film is just love in general. We're here to love. In Theodore's case, the need for love gave him purpose. And just holding on to the mere possibility of his situation changing with Catherine and getting some closure or even hoping. And everyone is ultimately synced into their devices, just overlooking Theodore throughout the film. And it just emphasizes his selflessness and how little he cares about what others think about him. And we just generally long for a human connection, but we're scared to interact with the people around us. Similar to how Theodore couldn't fathom a real relationship and just actual love. He was just dwelling so much upon his ex-wife that he ended up dating an operating system. Sad as it sounds, it's very real and grounded. And it really shows how society is now, cycling through our phones, going through these dating apps, social media, and going through our music. We're ultimately not metaphysical. Death is inescapable, and it's bound to happen. We seek to find purpose to give us fulfillment so we could feel accomplished. We look back at our lives, and we're blinded to other aspects. This movie, to me, is what it means to discover yourself and truly let go. And we do need insanity and grief to feel like we are living. A love that is painful and ultimately gut-wrenching could be one that's worth living for the lessons that you've learned. The familiarity with masculinity, and it does portray this loneliness. And as you grow up as a male, you're expected to no longer acknowledge or interact with your emotions. You're essentially an instrument to society, which is meant to function, whether that's a person flipping a burger or somebody typing in numbers into a spreadsheet. And this is portrayed really well by Spike Jonze when Theodore is in the before stage of meeting Samantha, and he's just going through the ultimate mundanity of life, going through on these dates with women he has zero interest in. That does conclude my video essay of the movie Her. I hope that you learned something and enjoyed this video, and I want to thank you for your time and attention.